guys, gals, and non-binary pals? Welcome back to Higurashi when they cry, Higurashi no nakakoro ni, when the evening cicadas cry, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go ahead and just continue right where we left off on chapter 2. We're going to go ahead and view all of the tips just because we got some new ones.
レナってさ、俺と同い年だったよな。
So, Rena, we're the same age?
そうだよ。
Yeah, that's right.
も同じだよね。
We're the same zodiac animal, too. Hey now, it would be weird if we were the same age but not the same zodiac animal.
そんなことないよ。誕生日の違いがあれば、年齢が同じでも干支が違うこともあり得るって。
If your That's not true. If your birthday isn't the same, then you can have different animals even if you're the same age.
あれ？あ、そうか。
Huh? Oh, I see.
ミオン、頭いいじゃないか。
Mion, you're pretty smart.
ところで、ケイチ君は何月生まれなのかな？
What month were you born, by the way, Keiichi-kun?
レナは7月なんだよ。
I'm July. Rena smirked and puffed up with pride. Hey now, what's the meaning of this? She's not planning to be all high and mighty if her birthday is a wee bit sooner than mine, is she?
だが諦めろ。
Don't even.
俺に誕生日で挑もうったって無駄なことだ。
It's impossible to challenge me by birthday.
なんならどっちが年上か罰ゲーム付きで勝負してもいいぜ。
I wouldn't even mind you if you bet $1 per month. Uh-huh.
なんでだろう。
Why?
なんでだろう。
Why? Rena panics at suddenly being challenged to a wager. Given how panicked she is, I am certain she doesn't have much allowance left this month. It's just sending her into a panic about something as simple as a birthday is so fun, I can't help myself.
ってことはケイちゃん、ひょっとして4月生まれ？
So that means you were born in April, Kei-chan?
そういうこったな。
Right
残念
on.
だな、レナ。
Right on. Too bad, Rena.
俺、もうとっくにレナより年上なんだよ。
I'm already far older than Rena.
へえ、そうなんだ。
Oh, I see.
じゃあ、みーちゃんと同い年なんだね。
Then you're the same age as Mi-chan.
まあ、ほんの何ヶ月かはね。すぐにまた差を開いてあげるけどさ。
Well, it's just a few months. That gap will open up again soon enough. Mion snickered through her nose. Hey now, that's not something to get all high and mighty about. As if I'm one to talk.
そういえば、ミオンって上級生なんだよな。
Now that you mention it, you're in a higher grade, right, Mion?
下級生の方が燃えるってんなら、今日から下級生ってことでもいいけど。
If you're into underclassmen, then I can be an underclassman from now on.
みーちゃん、よくわかんないこと言ってる。
Mi-chan, you're not making any sense to me. Just by seeing Rena's blushing face, you could tell she knew exactly what she meant by it, though.
で、サトコとリカちゃんが下級生と、どころか学校が違うくらいの下級生だよな。
Then Satoko and Rika-chan are underclassmen. Their grade is so different that they should be in a different school, shouldn't they?
ケイチ君はちょっと好みの年齢が低すぎると思うな。
Keiichi, your tastes are a bit too young, I think. You're not making any sense yourself, Rena. I'll just grab onto her head and scruff it up a bit.
やめて。
Ow, stop it.
前から思ってたんだけどさ、なんでこの学校ってクラスが学年混在なんだ？
I wondered about it before, yeah. I was wondering why this school has different school years all mixed up.
教室の数が足りないからだよ。仕方ないじゃん。
There aren't enough classrooms. Can't help it.
営林署の建物を間借りしてんだからさ。
This building is being rented from the forestry services after all. When she says it like that, it makes sense. I thought our school was strange for a while now. The schoolyard is gravel. There are rooms that aren't for classes, and there's some strange sort of construction machinery parked here.
なんで借りてるんだよ。本当の学校はどうしちゃったんだよ。
Why is it being borrowed? What happened to the real school?
戦前からずーっと建ってたらしいからね。老朽化でね。
There was one here forever from before the war. It got
廃校って
dilapidated.
わけよ。
They closed it down. It probably was a grand old schoolhouse.
まあそれで生徒は町の学校に通うことになったんだけどさ。遠いでしょ？
Well, because of that, the students would have to attend the school in the city. That's pretty far though, you know?
どこの学校だったの？
Which school would that be?
沖宮の駅前通りを抜けて病院に曲がって小児科の向かいに学校あるのわかる？
Did you know that there's a school if you pass by the Onikakushi train station, turn at the hospital, and head towards the pediatrics department?
遠いよ。
Well, what? So far. I couldn't tell where that was by location, but I understood it was pretty far from Rena's reaction.
まあそんなわけでさ。
Well, that's why.
沖宮の学校に通いたくない連中はこうして営林署の建物を間借りした仮校舎に通ってるってわけさ。
The guys that didn't want to commute to Okinomiya rented out the building from the forestry services and are attending this Sueda school here.
ひなみ沢の子供の半分くらいかな。朝早くに自転車で通ってる子たちも結構いるよ。
About half the children in Hinamizawa go here. There are quite a lot of kids that come here on bike.
まあこんなはちゃめちゃな学校に通ってたら進学校とかはちょっと無理だろうからね。
Well, since they're attending this really messed up school, it might be pretty hard for them to get into higher education.
そんなことないよ、みーちゃん。ちゃんと頑張ればどこでだってお勉強はできるよ。
That's not true, Mi-chan. If you study properly, you can go anywhere you want.
お、そうだぞそうだぞ。レナとは意見が一致したな。
Yeah, that's right, that's right. I totally agree with Rena on this one.
そうだね、そうだね。
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
頑張ろう。
Let's do our best.
せいぜい頑張ってくださいな。おじさんはささやかに応援しとりますわ。
All of you try your best. This old man will be rooting for you.
俺たちがじゃないぞ。ミオンがだぞ。お前受験生だろ？
Not just us, you too. You should be preparing for exams, shouldn't you?
こんな成績じゃお先真っ暗だぞ。
Your future is bleak with grades like this.
いいもんいいもん。路頭に迷ったら永久就職してケイちゃんに食わせてもらうから。
Fine, just fine. If I get stuck, then I'll just mooch off Kei-chan as he works forever.
永久就職ってなんだろう、なんだろう。
Well, what do you mean by mooch off Kei-chan? What do you mean?
ほらそこうるさいですよ。
Hey, you're too loud.
自習は静かに。
Be quiet during self-study. The teacher yelled at all three of us. It was completely our fault. Sadako saw it and chortled haughtily. I stuck out my tongue at her in response. It is just as Mion says. The school has nothing to do with higher education. But it makes up for that by having lots of valuable things that other schools don't. It's only June, but it's already so hot. I could hear the Higurashi outside chirping me, me, and at night there are mosquitoes. It might as well be summer already. My only salvation was that the mornings were still cool.
暑いでございますわね。
Summer, I do declare. Sadako was flapping her skirt languidly. That's pretty unladylike there. Even as she was a little brat, she was still a girl.
ケイチさんはワイシャツ一枚で涼しそうですわね。羨ましいですわ。
Keiichi does seem quite cool with just a single button-up shirt. I'm so jealous.
俺から見りゃスカートの貞子の方が涼しそうだよ。この時期のズボンがどれだけ暑いか女のお前にはわかるまい。
From how I see things, the skirt you're wearing looks like it would be much cooler. A girl like you just wouldn't understand wearing jeans during this season and how steamy the crotch gets.
暑いって、
It gets steamy. This girl has gone imagining something indecent.
レナの夏服は涼しそうな色合いがいいよな。見てるこっちも涼しくなる。
Nana's summer clothes have a nice refreshing color. I feel cooler just looking at them.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
本当に涼しいんだよ。
They really do feel pretty cool.
私もレナさんみたいな涼しい夏服が良かったですわね。
I do wish my summer clothes were as breezy as Nana's.
でも、さとこちゃんの夏服ワンピースですっごい可愛いし、レナはさとこちゃんの夏服着てみたいな。
But Satoko-chan, your summer clothes are so cute, being a one piece and all. I'd like to wear your summer clothes.
これ結構蒸しますわよ。絶対にレナさんの方が涼しいですわ。
This is actually quite stuffy, you know. I do believe that what you're wearing would feel much cooler.
でも可愛い服の方がきっと楽しいよ。はう。
But it would be so much fun with cute clothes. How? I had a feeling that Anna and Sadako's base values were fundamentally different.
そういえばこの学校って指定の制服とかないんだよな。
Speaking of which, our school doesn't have a uniform.
ないよ。
Yeah, it doesn't.
ふさわしい服であれば私服でも大丈夫なんだよ。
As long as they're proper, then regular clothes are fine. There are quite a few students in regular clothes. There were a few wearing uniforms, but they were all the same design and rather plain.
他の連中が着てる制服は何なんだよ。みんなお揃いだよな。
What's the uniform they're all wearing? They're all the same.
あれは町の学校の制服なんですのよ。別に決まってるわけじゃないですけど、みんな着てますわね。
That's the city school's uniform. It's not like there's a rule, but they're all wearing them.
そこへ行くと俺らの仲間はみんないろいろな制服を着てるよな。わざわざどこかから取り寄せたのか？
Speaking of which, everybody in our group is wearing a different uniform, aren't we? Did you go out of your way to get them from somewhere?
ええ、ミオンさんが調達してくださいますの。
Why, yes, Mion-san supplied them.
みーちゃんの親類で古着商をやってる人がいて、全国の学校の服を格安で仕入れてるんだって。
Mi-chan's relative runs a second-hand clothing store. They can get school clothes from all over the country for cheap, they say.
でその親類に頼んでいろいろ個性的な制服を取り寄せてもらってるわけか。
So you asked those relatives to get a bunch of unique school uniforms then? That Mion, she probably loves using her friends as dress-up dolls. That must be a strange second-hand clothing store. I get that it's a second-hand clothing store, but stocking clothes from schools all over the country? That's pretty strange for a second-hand clothing store. What's the point in stocking up clothes from faraway schools they know nothing about?
それはレナも思うよ。他にも体操服とかスクール水着のお風呂とかも扱ってるの。
Yeah, I think so too. They also have used school swimsuits and PE uniforms.
そういうののお風呂はちょっと嫌だよね。
I don't like the idea of having used ones.
あんまり儲かってなさそうな商売だな。きっと少しでも儲けさせるためにミオンが一肌脱いでやってるんだろうな。
Doesn't sound like that shop makes much money. They probably have Mion pitch in and help so they can make a bit more.
でもいつもミオンさんが自信満々に言いますのよ。今にきっと大ブレイクしてすごい商売になるって。
But Mion-san says it'll be a big hit and become a great store with such conviction. A second-hand clothing store that stocks school uniforms will be a big hit? I don't get it. Okay, now let's go ahead and continue. I took it a little too easy on the morning of my day off. I was totally late. And to top it off, that pesky mom of mine pushing a return journey errand on me just as I'm trying to leave the house. Today was the day Rena and Mion were going to show me around Hinamizawa. Rena and Mion were already waiting at the meeting place.
ケイちゃん遅いぞ。
Kei-chan, you're late.
悪い悪い。責めるのは夕べの面白かった特番に行ってくれ。
Sorry. The show I was watching last night was really interesting. Blame that.
ほー。女の子との待ち合わせに遅刻して言い訳がそれってわけ？
Oh, so that's your excuse for being late and keeping two girls waiting?
みーちゃんだって今来たばかりなんだよ。
Mi-chan, you just got here yourself.
夕べの密着24時間面白かったし、ねえ。
Last night's episode of A Day in the Life of was interesting, wasn't it? She was just as guilty as me. Rena was carrying a pretty heavy-looking handbag. What is that? Mion answered my unspoken question with a wink. That's right. Rena really did make a picnic.
ケイちゃん、あの後レナ
Kei-chan, after you left,
大張り切りだったらしいよ。
Rena pulled out all of the stops.
別に俺がけしかけたわけじゃないだろう。
It's not like I forced her to do it.
そんな大変じゃなかったから気にしないでよ。ね。
It was nothing, so don't worry about it, okay?
夕べから今朝まであのテンションらしいよ。
She's been like this since last night, you know.
責任取れんの？
Can you take responsibility for this?
わかった。俺も男だ。責任は取る。
Alright. I am a man after all. I'll take responsibility.
責任ってなんだろう。
Huh? Responsibility? For what? As we both turned around slowly to look at Rena, our gazes drifted downwards to the massive handbag she was carrying. It didn't seem logically feasible that it would be entirely filled with lunchboxes. Except this was Rena we were talking about here.
2キロくらいかな。
About 2 kilos, I guess?
レナね、荷物持つとき、よっこらしょって言ってた。
When Rena was picking it up, I could see that she was struggling a bit.
5キロ。
I say 5.
それはオーバー。
You're exaggerating.
ケイチくん男の子だから
Keiji-kun is a boy after
きっ
all.
といっぱい食べるだろうと思ってたくさんね。
I thought he could probably eat a lot, so I made a lot, okay?
もう行こう。よっこらよっこ。
Let's get going. Oh! Just from the way she was lifting it up, I couldn't believe the only things in there were lunchboxes.
俺も5キロ。
Correction, I say 5 kilos too.
手伝いはするけど、全部食べるんだからね。
I'll help out, but all of it needs to be eaten.
レナを悲しませたら許さないよ。
I won't forgive you if you make Rana sad, got it? The only thing I could do at that moment was exercise a bit to make myself hungrier. Having finished with the pleasantries, we began our leisurely stroll. A carefree walk, bathed in the gentle morning sunlight. I couldn't have even imagined something so wholesome existed during my time in the city. These were the boonies, after all. No slovenly desk jockeys trudging to work on the weekends out here. It really was a nice place, peaceful and quiet. As sparsely populated as the village was, you could still run into people just by walking around.
あ、こんにちは。
Good day.
こんにちは。
Good day.
あら、そちらは。
お
確か、 前原くんだったかしら。
Oh, you would be my Barakun, I believe. My two companions exchanged greetings with everybody we ran across. All of these passerby even know my name.
なんで俺ってこんなに有名人なんだ？
When did I become this famous? We passed 3 people, and when all 3 of them knew me, I started to feel a bit paranoid.
悲しいかな。
It's a bit sad to say.
南沢は人が少ないからね。みんな顔見知りなんだよね。
Everyone knows everyone since there are so few people here in
つ
Hinamizawa.
まりなんだ？
So that means
知らない顔が歩いてれば、それは自動的に新しく引っ越してきた前原さんってことになるわけか。
when an unfamiliar face walks by, they automatically assume it's that Maibara fella who just moved here.
うん。そういうことになるね。
Yeah, that's how it works out. It was a process of elimination you could only pull off in a place like this, but it was quite effective. From now on, I'd better make sure to maintain a good reputation. The day I'm discovered accidentally gawking at a dirty magazine in the bookstore, I can expect all the villagers labeling me as a lech by the next day. Hinamizawa is not to be trifled with. That's not the end of this nightmare.
もちろんわかるよ。
Of course I know them.
最初に会ったのが牧野林店の竹蔵おじさん。
The first person we met was Old Man Takezo from the Makino bike shop.
趣味は盆栽と尺八なんだよ。
His hobbies are bonsai and playing the flute.
次が乾物屋の次男の大輔くん。
Next we met the grocer's second son, Daisuke-kun.
趣味は狙撃で、将来の夢は超永久スナイパーだとか。
His hobby is sharpshooting and he hopes to be an ace sniper in the future.
それで今の人は入江診療所の看護師のミオさん。
And the person we just met was Mio-san, the nurse from the clinic.
趣味は野鳥の観察と撮影だって。
Her hobbies are bird watching and photography.
すれ違った全員の名前までわかるのかよ。
You know the names of everyone we passed by.
プロフィールまで。
And even their profiles? Seeing my surprise, Mion and Rena exchanged looks and burst into laughter.
まあね。
Well, yeah.
ここいらは都会みたいにご近所付き合いが希薄じゃないからね。
We're not like the city where people hardly know their neighbors.
試しに聞いてみよ
Then let's try it
う。
out.
今ここにいる俺は誰だ？
You there, who am I?
前原圭一くん。
You're my Bara Keiichi.
意地悪なこと言うけど、本当は優しい照れ屋さん。
You say some mean things, but you're actually a kind, shy person.
転校してきてようやく3週間。
It's been 3 weeks since you transferred here.
趣味は昼寝。
Your hobby is taking afternoon naps.
最近トランクス派に転向
Lately, you switched over to wearing boxers.
したよね。
Didn't you?
もういいもういい。
That's enough, that's enough.
トランクス。
But boxers.
それもいい。
Enough of that. Apparently, there's absolutely nothing you can keep hidden here. Hinamizawa was not a place to be trifled with.
これじゃあさ、俺のための案内ってより、俺のお披露目みたいだな。
This feels more like you guys are showing me off rather than showing me around.
そうだね。
That's right.
うちらさ、これだけ賑やかに練り歩いてたからね。
We're parading around like this after all.
みんな思うんじゃない？
It'll give everyone a chance to see for themselves
ケイちゃんもひなみ沢に馴染んでくれたんだって。
that Kei-chan is fitting right here in Hinamizawa.
南沢は過疎だから。
The population in Hinamizawa is shrinking,
村中みんなが新しい仲間を歓迎してくれてるの。
so the villagers welcome anybody who's new here. I thought about brushing it off with something to the effect of, "You're kidding me," but I held back. Had I ever greeted someone who just moved to the city like this before? Thinking about that made me believe that what they said wasn't a joke at all. We passed another person. Of course, we were called out again the same way.
あら、こんにちは。
Oh my, good day.
仲良しそうでいいわね。
It's wonderful to see you getting along.
藤島さんちのおばさんだよ。
This lady here is Fujishima-san.
こんにちは。
Good day.
あら前原くん、両手に花でいいわね。
Oh my Bara-kun. How wonderful for you, having a lovely girl on each arm.
どう？
How are you?
生活はもう慣れた？
Getting used to life here? Instead of regurgitating a prepared response, like I would have in the city, I responded with an empathetic nod. The old woman chuckled, voicing her appreciation of how energetic I was.
グッド。
Good. As I looked back over to Mrena and Mion, they gave me a wink.
でね、
So now then,
そろそろお昼にしないかな。
about time to have lunch, maybe? Maybe? Rena's brilliant smile signaled the approach of an event that both Mion and I were trying to forget. We looked at each other.
俺も男だ。努力はする。
I'm a man. I'll do what I can.
だが量が多すぎる。
But it's just too much.
よしケイちゃん、ここはおじさんに任せなさい。
It's fine, Kei-chan. Leave it to this old man. Mion has never seemed as reliable as she does right now. I expect no less from the class representative.
レナ、どうせ食べるならさ、見晴らしのいいところで食べない？
Rena, if we're going to eat, we might as well go somewhere with a good view. Yes.
それいい。賛成。
Good idea, I agree. Rena nodded in approval. Sorry, I missed that. Cresting the top of a stone stairway, a shrine drawn straight out of my imagination appeared before us. It had worn down a bit through the years, but the fallen leaves had been swept up, giving it a tidy feeling.
ここはね、古出神社っていうの。
This here is Furude Shrine.
多分見晴らしが一番いいところかな。
It's probably the place with the best view around.
ここの場所、よく覚えといてね。
This place, be sure to remember it.
もうすぐここでお祭りがあるんだから。
On our next break, a festival will be held here.
へえ。祭りにしちゃちょっと早いシーズンだよな。
Isn't it a bit too early in the season for a festival?
綿流しは夏祭りじゃなくてね、昔は冬の終わりを喜ぶお祭りだったらしいよ。
The Watanagashi isn't a summer festival. Long ago, it used to be a celebration of the end of winter. I was embarrassed for assuming that festivals had to be held in the summer.
さて、弁当を広げてっと。
Now then, spread out the lunch boxes, and there... Various colored lunch boxes were placed one after the other on top of the plastic sheet. It sure did smell delicious. It was Nana's home cooking. It went without saying that it would be delicious. But is it even possible to finish all of this? Hey, Mion, it'll take more than just a good view to get all this down, you know?
こんにちはです。
Good afternoon. It was Rika-chan and Satoko. Why are they here? Mion grinned over at me. I see. This was her secret plan. The power in numbers. You have my thanks, Mion. Following up when all the pieces are in place is my speciality.
騒がしいから来てみれば、これは何ですの？
We just had to come since there was such a commotion. What is the meaning of this?
見りゃわかるだろ。
Take a look.
これからランチタイムだ。
It's time for lunch.
ビュッフェスタイルだ。
Buffet style.
レナの手作り弁当に舌鼓だ。
A handmade gourmet meal by Rena.
そんなの見ればわかるでございますわ。
I can see that much.
どうして人様の庭でご座なんか広げてますの？
Why have you laid a tarp out on our property?
神社は公共の場所だぞ。勝手に独占するな。
The temple is public grounds. It's not yours.
圭一の言う通りですよ。
Keiichi is right.
みんなのお庭にしますです。
This is everyone's property.
やっぱりリカちゃんはいい子だな。
Wow, Rika-chan is such a good girl.
座りな、そこ。
Have a seat.
一緒に食べよう。
Eat with us. After opening up a spot for Rika-chan, I promptly turned my back on Sadako.
ちょっと とお待ちなさいな。
Hold on one second.
私はどこに座ればいいんですの？
Where's my spot?
お前に座る場所はないし、食べる分もない。
No spot for you and nothing for you to eat.
大丈夫だよ。さとこちゃんの分もちゃんとあるから。
Don't worry, there's some for you too.
ない。さとこの分も俺がいただく。
None. I'll eat all of hers.
そんなことは許せませんの。リカ。
I will not allow that, Rika.
はい、お箸です。
Here, chopsticks. Both Sadako and I leapt at the boxes, having it out with each other.
いやはや、ケイちゃん乗せるのうまいわ、ほんと。
Man, really, Kei-chan, you're really good at leading people on.
才能あるのかもしれない。
You might have a talent for this.
はい、お皿。みーちゃんも、リカちゃんも。
Have a plate, one for me-chan and Rika-chan too. Rana whipped out pairs of chopsticks and paper plates.
僕たちも頑張らないとなくなってしまうです。
If we don't hurry, it'll be all eaten up.
そうだね。よし、
That's right, okay.
参戦と行くかな。
Shall we commence this battle?
いっぱい食べてね。
Please eat a lot.
ちゃんとみんなの分あるから。
There's enough for everyone, Rana said as she opened up a thermos. Just then, I realized that this munch was made under the assumption that 5 people would be eating. It didn't change how much there was, but the implication behind it was different.
そのハンバーグは渡しませんわ。
I will not allow you to have this burger!
いや、肘は反則だろう、さとこ。
Using your elbow is against the rules, Satoko.
襟首をつかむのも反則でございます。
Grabbing the back of my collar is also against the rules. It was a tough battle, blocking with full momentum and an elbow in the opening moves. Sadako appeared to have the upper hand, but the difference in our proficiency with chopsticks proved to be fatal and gave me the upper hand.
最後のミートボール。
The last meatball!
校長さとこ、破れたり。
Sadako Ojo has been bested. Hump. Sadako and I amiably began choking at the same time, falling backwards and spasming. Rika-chan patted me on the head to clear it, even though it was actually stuck in my throat. Seeing that made Rana blush and breathe heavily in excitement. It was almost like flowers were floating all around her. Mion advised Rana to refrain from saying anything that could get her locked up. This is how our meals usually go. I'd do anything in my power, just so things could stay like this. The intense battle calmed, and finally everyone reached a point where they could begin talking. Receiving tea from the thermos, I let out a small sigh.
日本語ってやつはさ、どうしてこう味に対する賛辞が少ないんだろうな。
I do wonder why there are so few words in Japanese to praise how something tastes.
食事中の団らんって考えがそもそも近代に入ってからだからじゃない？
Isn't it because the idea of togetherness during a meal didn't begin until the modern era?
昔の人は無言で食事を済ませたそうだし、
It seems that long ago people ate in silence.
作る人もちょっぴり寂しかったろうね。
It must have made the people preparing the food a bit sad, don't you think?
きっと昔の人は食べるのに忙しくて味を褒める暇もなかったのですわ。
It's probably because the people back then were so busy eating, they didn't have time to compliment the flavor. That's just you.
でもね、美味しいの一言だけでも嬉しいよ。
But, you know, hearing that it's good makes me happy.
苦労の甲斐があったかなって。
That my effort was worth it, I mean. She blushed a little as she said that.
美味しいです。
It was delicious. With absolute perfect timing, Rika-chan struck Rana directly with praise. She looked straight at her with an expression of bewitching innocence.
は？
Huh? After Rena uttered an unintelligible noise, a ring of smoke rose from her head with an audible poof.
リカちゃん、お持ち帰りじゃなくて。
Rika-chan, I'm gonna take you home. No, I mean...
ありがとう。
Thank you.
本当に美味しかったですよ。
It was really delicious. Rana flushed red with excitement, embracing Rika-chan, rubbing her cheek against her so hard you could almost hear it.
リカちゃんには褒めてもらったお礼に、じゃーん。
To reward Rika-chan for her praise, ta-da!
これをサービスね。
These are special. 2 apple rabbits. After sticking toothpicks into them, she thrust them towards Rika-chan. After Rika-chan accepted them, the mood suddenly shifted in a bizarre way.
なんだよ、サトコ。
What is it, Satoko?
その挑戦的な目は。
What's with that defiant look?
皆さんにはレナさんのリンゴを獲得できるだけの賛辞が用意できまして。
Has everyone prepared proper praise to receive apples from Rena-san?
強気じゃんよ。
Don't push yourself.
ボキャ品のあんたにどんな賛辞が思いつくっての？
What kind of praise can you think up with your weak vocab?
では、
Well then,
ご覧遊ばせ。
allow me to show you. After Satoko flashed Mion and me a defiant look, she changed the tone of her voice suddenly.
レ
Hey.
ナお姉ちゃんのお弁当、サトコも美味しかったよ。
Serena and Nechan's lunch. Sadako thought it was yummy too. Sadako looked up at her proudly while talking cutesy. What? How is that praise? It's not even persuasion by tears, that's persuasion by cuteness, isn't it? This is a Rena limited special skill. She blushed and her head spun, waving around in circles. Don't fall for it, Rena! Of course, that was asking for the impossible. Rena clomped Sadako and began rubbing her cheek against her.
かいかい。
Cute!
サトコちゃんもかいよ。お持ち帰り。はう。
Sadako is so cute. Take you home. How? Swish. Stab. Push. Sadako was also presented with apple rabbits. After stuffing them into her mouth, she looked over at Mion and me again with that defiant gaze. It took only 5 seconds to take down Rena. That's unfair, to think she had such a trick.
悔しければ、レナさんにご褒美がもらえるような賛辞をお考え遊ばせ。
If it upsets you so much, why not reward Rena with some praise? Damn it. That was a dirty trick. First of all, that wasn't even praise.
サトコ、
Satoko,
それで勝てたつもりとはね。
you think you've won with that, don't you?
あんたらの底の浅い技とはわけが違うものを見せてあげようじゃない。
How about I show you guys something much better than your superficial gimmicks?
それは頼もしいぜ、ミオ。
That sounds great, Mion.
それはどんな技なんだ？
What kind of trick is it?
やるのはケイちゃん。
Kei-chan is gonna be the one who does it.
は
見せてもらおうではございませんか。
Why don't you show me then?
戸島のあがきを。
The writing of an old maid. The plan of attack she suggested was wicked, but it was the only thing we had to beat Sadako. After sipping my tea, I started talking very naturally and calmly.
本
Perfectly.
当に美味しいよな。
It really is good, isn't
これ
it?
ってさ、全部手作りなのかい？
This is all freshly made, right? No.
実はね、これほとんど冷凍物なの。
Actually, most of it, almost all of it was frozen stuff.
じゃあ、レナの手作りのってどれだい？
And which ones did you make fresh?
その、恥ずかしいな。教 げなきゃダメ？どうしても？
Well, it's embarrassing. Do I really have to say? Must I? From the synergy of boy plus handmade lunchbox, her expression had melted into
わ
euphoria.
かるよ。これでしょ。
I already know this one, right? Rana turned an even deeper shade of red, the words "I can't believe it" practically written on her face.
なんでわかるかな？
How can you tell?
レナの手作り。
How? That I made it. Of course, Mion had told me beforehand. It's been perfect so far. After acting like I was shy, I waited a beat. Next would be the finisher.
レナの匂いがしたから。
It had your smell. Silence enveloped the area. Rena, face still completely red, froze solid. With a small yelp, Sadako also blushed. Of course I did too.
レナの手作りのリンゴのうさぎさんが食べたいな。なんて。
I sure would like to try one of Rena's handmade apple rabbits or something. Even if this was all because I was competing against Satoko, it felt like I had crossed the line by a good 9 yards, I think. Then at that moment, whoosh. It was a Tupperware container filled with rabbits.
食べてね、ケイチくん。
Please eat some, Keiichi-kun.
いっぱいあるんだよ。
There's plenty for you. Instantly, dozens of apples were shoved into my mouth, knocking me over.
はい、して、ケイチくん。
Okay, so say hi, Keiichi-kun. My head was forcibly laid upon her lap, and even more apples were shoved into my mouth. While she was squealing, one apple after another was forced into my mouth. More and more apples.
ほうははほほへはけおはけは。
Okay, we win. Or, how about them apples, Sadako? Look like we win.
ケイちゃん、殉職見事なり。
Kei-chan, that was a beautiful
どうよ、
sacrifice.
さとこ。
How's about that,
う
Sadako?
ちらの完全勝利だね。
This is our complete victory, isn't it?
こんな手、信じられないですの。悔しくないもん。
I can't believe it. Such trickery. It doesn't bother me at all. Sadako ground her teeth, mortified. We did it. I claimed victory as my consciousness drifted slowly away from me. At that time, Rana stopped her squealing as she suddenly realized something.
リカちゃん、食べないの？
Rika-chan, you're not eating it?
塩水強すぎたかな？
Did the salt water make it too strong? Maybe? Looking over, Rika-chan had pulled the toothpick out of the apple wrapper, placed it into her cup's hands, and seemed to be at a loss for what to do.
うさぎさんがかわいそうです。
Poor Mr. Rabbit. I feel sorry for him.
助けてあげてほしいです。
I want to save him. Boy. That was the sound of blood splurting from Rana's nose.
かわいいよ。今夜こそ絶対お持ち帰り。
Kiki, don't mind. I will take you home. She shook sporadically, her head wobbling back and forth. Then, coming back to her senses, she took all of the apples around me, gathered them up with a flip, and fixed them back up on a plate.
これでみんな寂しくないよね。これリカちゃんにあげる。ね。
Now they're all just fine, Kay. Here, I'll give them to you, Rika-chan. Kay? Rika-chan raised up Sadako's hand like a referee after having that plate of rabbits shoved to her. She whispered,
僕たちが勝ちましたです。
This is our victory. What?
や
come back?
Oh,
Or I just don't care anymore. Thus, my sacrifice ended up being in vain. It was a fun-filled, crazy day. But as soon as the sun began to set, the end of the day really did come quickly.
じゃあね、レナにケイちゃん。また明日ね。
Later, Rena and Kei-chan. See you tomorrow.
ミオ、今日はありがとな。楽しかったぜ。
Thanks for today, Mion. I had a great time.
また明日ね。
See you tomorrow. Sadako and Rika-chan went home as well. We parted ways with Mion, and it ended up with just Rena and myself enjoying the evening air on our way home.
ケイチくんも今日は付き合ってくれてありがと
Thanks for coming today, Keiichi-kun.
う。楽しかった？
Was it fun?
あ
Yeah,
あ、楽しかった。
lots of fun.
まだ家に帰るのが惜しいくらいだぜ。
Almost feels like a waste to go home now.
じゃあさ、
Then, well,
ちょっとだけ寄り道してもいいかな？
would you mind taking a little detour? Maybe?
寄り道
A detour?
遠いのか？
Is it far?
ちょっと歩くけどすぐ済むから。
It's a bit of a walk, but it won't take long. Since we had been walking around all day, I must have seemed a bit tired. Not feeling like teasing Rena, I quietly nodded. Traversing a small path and up a small hill, the land suddenly stretched out before us. There, what looked like the remains of a dilapidated construction site came into view. A large heap of garbage spread out off towards a swamp. Probably illegal dumping. I recalled it being in the newspaper.
今日は久しぶりだから何かあるかな？何かあるかな？
It's been quite a while. I wonder what's here.
久しぶりって、レナの用は、ゴミの山かよ。
When you say it's been a while, you mean the business you had here was with this garbage pile?
ゴミじゃないよ。
It's
レ
not
ナにとっては
garbage.
宝の山だもん。
To me, it's a pile of treasure. Rana had already engaged in that well-known cute mode of hers. So that meant there was something cute here?
わあ、新しい山だ。
Whoa, a new pile.
ワクワク。
Can't wait. She descended at the unstable slope with ease. I'd expect no less from a born and bred country girl.
おい、待てよ。今行くから。あったたたた。
Wait, I'm coming. Whoa. My city-raised self was completely pitiful.
いいよ。ケイチくんはそこにいて。すぐ済むから。
It's alright, just stay right there, Keiichi-kun. It won't take long. Rena kindly declined my accompaniment.
転ぶなよ。
Don't fall.
足元に気をつけろよ。
Watch your step.
大丈夫だよ。大丈夫。
I'm fine.
全然平気。
This is nothing at all. Literally bounding among the troops of hash, Rena disappeared from sight. I didn't like being left behind, but I was still pretty tired from the whole day, so I just ended up waiting. Without the lively Rena around, the surrounding area quickly fell into silence. The cry of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. Fairly exhausted, I began to feel a little sleepy. Just then, the sudden noise of scattering pebbles alerted me to somebody's presence. Startled, I turned around. Standing there was a typical-looking photographer. He spied over at me through his camera. His body was tanned and fit. but something about him seemed unreliable, and he had a bit of an aloof air about him. Well, it didn't seem like he was a bad guy in any case.
おっと
Whoa,
びっくりした。
you surprised me. Although startled when I turned around, he overplayed his reaction. That was my line.
驚いたのはこっちですよ。
I'm the one who's surprised here.
ごめんごめん。
My bad, my bad.
驚かすつもりはなかったんだ。君はひなみ沢の人かい？
I didn't mean to startle you. Are you from Hinamizawa? I gathered that he wasn't from that question. Unfazed by my suspicious gaze, he introduced himself without my prompting.
僕は富武。
I'm Tomitake,
フリーのカメラマンさ。
freelance photographer.
ひなみ沢にはたまに来るんだ。
I come to Hinamizawa from time to time. I didn't ask you who you were.
写真ってのは被写体に断ってから撮るのが礼儀なんじゃないんすかね。
Quite rude to photograph someone without consent, one would think.
ごめんごめん。
My bad, my bad.
メインは野鳥の撮影でね。
I mainly photograph wild birds.
断った試しがないんだよ。
They can't refuse, you see. So what? You're saying I'm the same as the birds?
いやいや、夕闇に黄昏る少年があまりにも絵になっていたんでね。
No, well, you see, that image of a young man in the twilight was just picturesque.
本人の許可を取らずにファインダーを覗いたことを謝るよ。
I apologize for trying to take your picture without asking. Adults are pretty slick. All that annoyance I felt for being startled just flew away as he buttered me up. I had no intention of hanging around with this guy trying to get cozy with me, except it didn't seem like Rana would be back anytime soon. But this older guy, Tomidaka-san, he didn't mind my cautious responses and continued rambling on by himself.
ケイチくん、待たせてごめんね。
Keiichi-kun, sorry to keep you waiting.
もう終わりにするから。
I'm finished now. Rana popped her head out from one of the lower piles of garbage and waved her hand.
連れがいたのかい？
You have someone with you?
お、彼女はあんなところで何をしているんだい？
What would she be doing over there? That's what I wanted to know.
さあね。
Dunno.
昔起こった殺人事件の死体でも探してるんじゃないですか。
Maybe she's checking on that dismembered corpse that was out here long ago. Tomidaka-san looked shaken up by that for a moment. Uh-oh. I responded like if I would be talking with Rena-san and the others.
嫌な事件だったね。まだ見つかってないんだろ？
It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms.
ケイチくんお待たせ。
Keiichi-kun, sorry to keep you.
待ったかな？かな？
You were waiting a while, I guess.
馬に蹴られる前に退散するかな。
I'd best leave you two lovebirds alone.
驚かせてすまなかったね。ケイ
Again,
チ君。
again, my apologies for startling you, Keiichi-kun. Tomitaka-san chortled suggestively, then disappeared into the twilight. Missing my chance to retort put me off a bit.
ケイチくん怒ってる？
Keiichi-kun, are you angry?
どうしてだろう？
Why, I wonder. It wasn't Rana's fault, so I decided to just brush it off for now.
どうだった？
How was it?
掘り出し物は見つかったか？
Find a treasure trove?
聞いて。
Oh yes, listen.
あのね、
You see,
あったの。
there was
ランディ君人形。
a Colonel Randy doll.
ランディ君人形？
A Colonel Randy
ってあれ
doll?
か？ファーストフードの店の前に必ず置いてあるあの等身大人形の？
Oh, that thing. Those statues they always have out in front of that fried chicken place. That life-size dummy?
そう、ランディ君。
Yes, Colonel Randy.
かわいい。お持ち帰りしたい。
Ah, cute. I want to take it home. I couldn't tell how she decides what's cute or not. But, well, she seems to want it.
あれはゴミだろ。
It's garbage, right?
お持ち帰りしたきゃしてもいいんだぜ。
No one would care if you just took it home, right?
他の山の下敷きになってるの。
It's become the base of another pile.
簡単には掘り出せないし、
I can't dig it out easily.
あそこ明かりがないからすぐ暗くなっちゃうし。
There's no lampposts over there, so it'll get dark pretty soon. Rena seemed quite down about finding a treasure and not being able to bring it back.
俺も手伝ってやるよ。
I'll help you out.
今日のうまかった弁当の恩返しってことでさ。
To repay you for that delicious picnic you prepared today.
ありがとう。
Thank you. Birds heading home to roost proclaimed that nightfall would soon be upon us.
ケイチくんが手伝ってくれる。ランディくんをお持ち帰りできる。はう。
Keiichi-kun's gonna help. I can take Colonel Andy home. Nana staggered along as if intoxicated in her dreamy state of mind. I tried asking her in a way that wouldn't take her out of her chair state.
なあレナ、
Hey, Nana.
あそこで昔なんかあったのか？
Long ago, did something happen here?
ダムの工事をやってたんだってね。
Seems like they were building a dam here.
詳しく知らないけど。ふう。
I don't know the details though. How?
例えばさ、工事中になんかあったとか、
Just wondering if you knew about,
事故とか。
an accident or something.
知らない。
I don't know. Her tone was disturbingly frank. It sounded more like a denial than an answer. I must have appeared rather dumbstruck. Rihanna quickly lightened her expression.
実はね、去年までよそに住んでたの。
Actually, I didn't live here until a year ago.
え、
Huh?
レナも転校生だったのか？
You transferred here too?
俺はてっきり。
I was sure that...
だからね、それ以前のことはよく知らないの。
So you see, I don't really know much from before that.
ごめんね。
Sorry. Don't really know, don't really want to talk about it. That was the feeling she was giving me. Thinking about it, of course it would be like that. This wasn't the type of thing girls would enjoy talking about. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. If it's just like Tomitaka-san said, then I had a feeling only the Higurashi would know. New tips unlocked. We're going to go ahead and do the new tips as well. I forgot to do the tips last episode, which is why they appeared in this episode. So we'll go ahead and do that after I save real quick.
ケイちゃんってさ、すごいお金持ちってわけでもないの？
So Kei-chan, you're not stinking rich?
なんだよ突然。俺がいつ高級車で登校したよ。
What is this all of a sudden? Did I come to school in a limo before?
月の小遣いはいくらもらってる？
How much do you get for a monthly allowance?
1000円。
About $10?
結構小市民的ですのね。
My, that's a rather plebeian amount.
お弁当のおかずも普通ですよ。お金持ちじゃないです。
His lunch is made up of normal stuff. He isn't rich. What are they talking about? To be asked out of nowhere how much I get and then told it's a plebeian amount.
ごめんね、ごめんね。
Sorry. Nana seemed to pick up on my dubious expression and started giggling.
ケイちゃんちってさ、すっごく大きいでしょ？だから建築中からひなみ沢中で前原屋敷って呼ばれて注目の的だったんだよ。
Kei-chan, your house, it's pretty big, yeah? So the architecture has people all around Hinamizawa calling it the Maibara Manor, and it sort of sounds stout. Maibara Manor.
あんなに大きいお家だから、どんなお金持ちなのかなってみんなで噂し合ってたの。
Since the house is so big, everyone is gossiping, wondering exactly how rich you are. I see. Now I get it. Well, the frame of it is huge. I see how it could cause some misunderstandings.
私の推理では、お家を建てるのにお金をかけすぎて貧乏になってしまったと考えてますのよ。
From my deduction, I wager they spent too much money on building the house, and that is why they are now broke.
貧乏でかわいそうかわいそうです。
Being broke, how very, very unfortunate. Rika-chan took pity on me as she patted my head. I go from being treated like a millionaire to a beggar.
諸君らの楽しい想像をぶち壊すようで悪いが、うちは金持ちでも貧乏でもないぞ。極めて平均的な普通の家庭だ。
Yeah, sorry for ruining your imagination, but we aren't millionaires or poor. We're the image of a normal average household.
あれだけ大きな家は普通とは言わないって。しかも玄関は立派で、門は大型車も入れるようになってるし。
You can't call it normal with that huge house. The entranceway is all grand and the gate is large enough for a large truck to get through.
絶対普通じゃないって。
That's not normal at all. They do say the bigger your house, the more prosperous you are. The reason the house is so big is because Dad's studio is in it too. There are a bunch of different workshops, and a lot of his works are hung up in different places. All of them are huge too. For those reasons, the family actually uses only a third of the house for day-to-day living. He planned it out so people and cars could come in to see the gallery he opens up in the house someday. By the way, the entrance Mion is talking about is the one for the studio. It is normally sealed off. The entranceway the Maibara family actually uses is a very plain and simple one. The interior is much different from how it looks on the outside.
ぜひ今度ケイちゃんの家を探検してみたいよな。お金持ちじゃないと主張しながらもあの邸宅。
I'd really like a chance to explore Kei-chan's house, claiming not to be rich, but having a home like that.
一体何が隠されているのか。
What could be hidden in there?
いいものが隠されてるといいな。はう。
Maybe there's something cute hidden inside. How?
きっと家具を買うお金もなくなってて、殺風景な部屋がいっぱいなのですわ。
We probably had no money to purchase furniture, so it's filled with Spartan rooms.
絨毯のお部屋ならぜひゴロゴロしてみたいですよ。
If there are carpeted rooms, I would love to try rolling around on the floor.
わあ、それいいね、それいいね。レナもゴロゴロしたい。
What? That'd be great, so great. I want to roll around too. Seems like their imaginations were just piling on. Well, sometime in the near future, it wouldn't be too bad to invite them all to my house. Dad is a sucker for the ladies, so he might even let them look around his studio. The cry of the Higurashi crescendoed as the sky towered over everything. It was hot, but the air was clear. It smelled like the beginning of summer. The Damn Site Murder Dismemberment, newspaper edition. From the June XX, 1979 edition. The Shishibone City, Okinomiya Police Station, June XX, late at night. Suspects XXXXX were arrested on suspicion of murder and improper disposal of a corpse. The main offender, X, has been added to the wanted list nationwide. According to our sources, the 6 suspects were at the Hinamizawa Dam construction site workroom on the XX at 9 p.m., where they are suspected to have assaulted and murdered the site overseer, X, as a group, dismembering the body and hiding it. On the X at 8 o'clock in the morning, a report was filed by the Shishibone City Hospital in which a male suspect alluded to having murdered Mr. X. When questioned at the police station, the individual confessed to the crime. Since a portion of the body was recovered at the location he gave, he was arrested at that afternoon on suspicion of murder and mutilation of a corpse. The rest of the suspects were arrested the same day, but the main culprit is still at large. Police are currently on his trail. The motive is purported to be a drunken verbal dispute during which he killed the victim in a fit of anger. However, as there are multiple inconsistencies with their testimonies, the investigation is ongoing. So that is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Higurashi, Onikakushi. We'll be back next time. Bye!